The way that we watch Jim grow up on camera, we also watch technology grow up on camera. My name's Victoria Mapplebeck, and I am director of Motherboard, which is a smartphone feature documentary which charts the last 2 decades of being a single parent. I've been shooting for over 20 years. Most of the footage is shot on 5 generations of smartphones, from the iPhone 6 to the iPhone 15. Technology, or changing technologies in terms of making films, is the use of smartphones to film with. And I was probably very interested and inspired by Sean Baker's Tangerine. You know, that was the first featured drama that was made, I think, on the iPhone 6. And at that time, I think I'd started this whole project by writing. So I'd started writing a short story with all of the Nokia texts that I had, that sort of unwittingly archived between myself and Jim's dad. And I thought, oh, this could be really interesting to sort of bring to life a phone story with a phone. And so that was in 2015, I did my first smartphone short for Film London. And it only had £2,000. It was just Film London's regional funding. And shooting on a smartphone meant that I could make it for that, you know. And I found that really liberating. Begin to sing about it. There's also an intimacy that I think Jim really responds to, that he would not have liked it if even I had got out a much bigger kit and like complicated sound setups, you know. And so it worked very well for the sort of spontaneity of filming Jim.
But Mommy, why did we just happen? People happen. How would just happen?
How do we happen?
Yeah, how?
Well, you get born, don't you?
Yeah, but how would you?
You get made in your mummy's tummy. You get born.
How? How do you get made in your mummy's tummy?
Some of the conversations that are difficult, they're not live.
Yeah.
So I don't doorstep Jim. So, you know, that difficult conversation where I've had the call with his dad, and the dad has said, yes, you know, he might think about meeting Jim, but he wants to talk it through with his wife and his other son. I do not film. I was then 2 days later when I film Jim and sort of summarize what's happening. I don't film in that live way. So we've already had that conversation. And then in a way we do a sort of a different one for the camera. And he's always had power of veto. So like the difficult material, you know, myself and my editor, particularly when I was working with a woman editor on the shorts, who was very fond of Jim, we would sit down and show him anything difficult, and we wouldn't use things if he wasn't happy with it. So he always had a really good sense of what material we were working with, and I think he knew he had that power. We were unfunded for a long time, and then we finally got money from Oka, who are linked to the Wellcome Trust. And I think they could perceive that there was a real kind of ethical challenge in the film. It was very useful. We did like a 3-month development period with them, where we had like a round table event with commissioners and producers and psychotherapists and sort of teenage mental health consultants. And that was really good, with them sort of putting to me sort of every scenario, you know, like, what effect could the film have on a future relationship with Jim's dad? Is he saying yes because he knows how happy filming makes me? He really does know that. Is he saying yes just to please me? Do you know what I mean? Does he still feel he's got a sense of agency to say no, you know? And so that was really useful. And then the other thing we did, which you probably can get a sense of in the film, is that, you know, there's an enormous audio archive, which gave us a real challenge in the edit. But often what I would do, so when I was going through cancer at the very beginning, and Jim and I were like really just shell-shocked by the whole thing, is I would just do like a Zoom audio recording, and it would go on for about 50 minutes. And at that time, I couldn't get any therapy, like family therapy. In fact, there was nothing on the NHS. And weirdly, that became a sort of DIY family therapy, because we'd have these audio conversations where Jim didn't feel self-conscious because I wasn't even filming him with the smartphone. And he'd often, let me know some quite troubling things. Like, we didn't use it in the end, but there was a terrible bit where he was sort of saying, if anything happened to you, I'd off myself. I wouldn't want to be here. And although that's really, really difficult to hear as a parent, like at least I had to talk it through with him. This is what I can't do, babe. You just have to write it for me.
Hi, my name's Victoria. I'm just working out what I want in life. I'm just figuring out my dating goals. I'm trying to work with you here, man, all right?
My dating goals is to get back on the horse after bloody nearly 18 years of being off it.
Hi, my name is Victoria.
Yeah, honestly, I'm just going to look such a dork if I don't spell professor right. Do you drink socially? Don't click frequently, you bugger.
Let's be real.
Oh,
and that's a photo of his kid.
Yeah.
That's him.
Oh, maybe we should have put a picture of me and you on.
No, I'm good.
In our proposal, right the way through trying to get money, was a Jessie Klein quote. Jessie Klein's a writer and sort of comedy writer in the States. She wrote this really great piece, which was a response to Joseph Campbell's idea of the hero's journey. And she was saying, bloody hell, like there's still a case where every fucking hero's journey, which, you can see in virtually every theatre, book, film particularly, is a male journey with a male protagonist. And they're going to a sort of like a search and a quest to like shores far, far away. And all of their sort of hurdles are kind of external. And she said she thinks motherhood is a hero's journey. And she says, but it's not a journey to far-flung places. It's a journey inwards and downwards to like the toughest parts of yourself that you didn't even know existed. And I really hope that the film captures the kind of trials, tribulations, and hopefully occasional triumphs of motherhood. And I hope it's proof that epic journeys can begin and end at home.